We talked about the Jets. They fired Robert Saleh, obviously the head coach, and we knew that his side of the ball with the Jets, defensively, one of the best defenses in the league, and that defense playing at such a high level. And the Cincinnati Bengals, the reason that they're losing right now has absolutely zero to do with the offense. The offense has been perfect. The run and the pass, the balance, the MVP caliber of play of Joe Burrow, obviously the superstar contributions of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and the new additions of Moss in the run game. Like everything is clicking offensively, and they're still 1-4, and they're still in every one of these games. They're not getting blown out, but it's coming down to defenses not being able to get stops. So that becomes the big question about Lou Anarumo's future with the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, everyone wants to put Zach Taylor on the hot seat. I think the easy solution is if you got to make a change, you make a change on the side of the ball. That is what is costing you games at this point, which is defense. Buy or sell Robert Saleh, the head coach that was just fired by, of course, the New York Jets, the former defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. Buy or sell that the Cincinnati Bengals need to pursue Robert Saleh as their new DC.
Sell. Sell, sell, sell. Would I think Robert Saleh would be a better defensive coordinator than Lou Anarumo? Sure. I think he's probably the best defensive coordinator in football. But I also don't think Lou Anarumo is why this defense has been bad. If you watched Chatterbox Bengals last night, we brought in a lot of plays, a lot of big chunk plays for that Ravens offense on Sunday, where if the defenders did their job and ran the play that was called, they would have been in position for success. But alas, the Jimmys and Joes are failing the X's and O's. It seems like Lou Anarumo is doing a fine job as defensive coordinator as you go back through and watch the film. But time and time again, on key play after key play, you have two guys drop into the same zone. You have a guy that's supposed to be your number one corner in Cam Taylor-Britt thinking it's zone when it's man, and you have Rashad Bateman running wide open on a crosser. You have Geno Stone filling on a running back screen, leaving Mark Andrews wide open down the sideline. If Lamar Jackson makes a better throw, it's a walk-in, untouched touchdown. At some point, you cannot blame the coach for everything because he's scheming it up to a point where if these guys just run the plays he's calling, they're going to have success. But whether they're incapable or don't know what the plays are, I don't know what it is, but it's a massive issue. At this point, after getting a little deeper into the film for the last few weeks, I blame the players more than I blame Anarumo. I don't think it's his fault. I don't think that his seat is necessarily as hot as we previously thought either. I'm selling this because I still think Lou Anarumo is a fine defensive coordinator.
I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. The defense hasn't been good for a long time now. I saw this. I like when all these graphs get shared on Twitter. It's the graph with all the logos, and they put you everywhere on the little thing. Since 2021, the Bengals defense is 18th in defensive EPA. They haven't been good, maybe ever. I think the one thing the Bengals defense always did in the past was take advantage of turnovers. They'd get turnovers, and it would make you think that, oh yeah, that's a really good defense. Forcing turnovers is certainly important, and it's what a great defense does. But the thing about turnovers is it does go both ways, and I think if the other team makes mistakes and you're just there to capitalize on it, I don't know if that makes you a great defense. And I think that's what they've done for now 3 years. So I think it's time to part ways with Lou. I wish him well, Godspeed, and I am going to buy it. I'm going to buy that Robert Saleh right now would be the best active defensive coordinator. And he would make the defense maybe not great this season, but if you were to look in the future, I think the defense would certainly get better.
I would like to buy this, but knowing how the Bengals operate, I don't know how drastic of a change they're going to make. Like, here's the deal with me. If we head into next season with the Bengals head coach Zach Taylor and Lou Anarumo as the defensive coordinator, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's the end of the world, because I think we can all agree that, and I think you can say this for most coaches, if you give a coach better players, all of a sudden their defense is better. We've seen Anarumo be able to unite this group in the past and be able to get them to play at a high enough level that obviously was good enough to get them to a Super Bowl. In fact, over the last, I think I looked this up the other day, over the last 7 years, they're the lowest ranked defense to lead a team to a Super Bowl. And like I know we've heard the points of others that Joe Burrow wasn't perfect during that run to the Super Bowl. He wasn't. I mean, you look at the way Joe Burrow plays now, that wasn't what he was doing during that run to the Super Bowl. But that defense was big time. That defense, as you talked about, Elliott, forced a lot of turnovers, right? It was a complete team effort to get to that Super Bowl when you look at special teams, defense, and offense, nonetheless. But we've seen in Anarumo, when there's enough weapons there, he can get them to unite to play at a high level, whether it be good scoring defense, a good turnover defense. They just haven't been able to put it all together. And if there was ever a year for that to happen, it should be this year. But we can all agree the front office didn't do their job. We've made it a point that, okay, this team is top 5 in spending on offense, and they're at the bottom in spending on defense. Well, you get what you pay for. I know a lot of times heads will roll for being responsible for your side of the ball, but I think Anarumo is a good defensive coordinator. I think it'd be kind of silly just to move on from him for how bad they've been this year. There's still a lot of season left to be played, and I think if it continues at this pace, he might be gone. But if they bring him back, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I talked about this yesterday. Look at the energy and vibe and change of a fan base when you make a change as something as simple as a manager in baseball or a coach in football. If you bring in Robert Saleh, who was the defensive coordinator for a team like the San Francisco 49ers year in and year out, Super Bowl contender, I think that's going to make a lot of Bengals fans feel warm and fuzzy inside. That you're bringing in a guy that has come from a very good organization in the Niners that's going to bring that experience over. I think that might make fans feel comfortable and feel like they're trending in the right direction, right? Like the Reds were, and I'm using a baseball, go to baseball quick. We were all checked out on the Reds. We all had given up on the Reds. We didn't want to talk Reds or hear about the Reds for a while. You improve the manager, and all of a sudden, look at us. We're talking the same players we said weren't good enough for this team to win last year are now all of a sudden we're talking about how good they're going to be next year because the vibe feels different with the leader on board. And I think that's what Robert Saleh could provide for the defense. The problem is it's just we hear it all the time. That's not a Bengals move. That seems too aggressive of a move for the Bengals to make. I just don't see them doing it. But it wouldn't be the end of the world if they did. This is such a horrible answer. I'm not committing to anything. I think it would be a good move if they did, but I'm fine if they keep Anarumo. That's as diplomatic of an answer as I can give you.
I think that's a fair answer. I certainly wouldn't be mad if they brought in Robert Saleh to coach this defense. I just don't know that anyone will be able to have success with that was weird.
That was far worse than anything I did.
No one will be able to have success with the guys on this defense anyway because the guys are just bad. I mean, we talked about the draft with the guys the Bengals have been drafting. Not a single guy was really a highly rated prospect anyway coming out of the draft, and we haven't hit on anyone anyway. So, yeah, I don't know that Robert Saleh, though he would be the best defensive coordinator in the league, I don't know that he'd be a fix for the Bengals.
I have a question, though. Like, if the defense, honestly, if they did have more sacks, how do you think that would help?
I think it would have to help.
Straight faced us after that question too. Look at him.
It would certainly have to help, right?
With that racing stripe behind him.